Welcome back to the Thursday evening Cowboy Fashion Report. This evening I've got on another fabulous pearl snap shirt, and those pearl snaps. This has a Dickens County Gyprock base with some purple passion pinstripes, and I think it really brings out my complexion. Well, if you've watched any of my stuff before, you know I worked for a fellow named Stan Jolly back in 1989 on the ranch there west of Baggs, Wyoming, and he had some country southeast of there near Slater, Colorado. And I spent all of my time up there in the mountain ranch there in Slater, Colorado, right by the Little Snake River. Beautiful country. Well, I hadn't been up there very long, and me and Stan's son, Harmel, I believe, were there at headquarters, which was a log cabin built out of native pine and some camper trailers and a set of large pole pine corrals and horse pasture. And we was pedaling around there, and kind of a pot-bellied Mexican feller come riding into camp on a little Mustang, leading another little Mustang. Them two Mustangs together might have weighed 850. And two collie dogs following him. Had on a crushed green velvet t-shirt with buttons right here, kind of like we'd wear back in the 80s. A pair of cheap titty shoes, and his breeches come up over his ankles, and he had a set of J.A. Pan stainless steel spurs tied on them ankles right there, right above his tennis shoes. And I said, Harmel, who's that? He said, oh, that's Demetrio. That's our sheep herder. And Demetrio, he didn't speak no English. He just waved at us, and he tied them two little Mustangs up over there by the shoeing outfit and the anvil and went to dig his shoes out. And I watched him shoe both them horses right there that morning. He never touched a pair of nippers nor a rasp, and both them horses was barefoot and long. He got them shod, headed back to camp, which was any given time at least 5 miles from where we was. Sometimes it was 8 or 10 miles, depending on that move when the grass run out every week or two. They had moved to a different spot there on the ranch, or they had leased some government land there on the National Forest. So the next few weeks, I'd be prowling. That was my job, to prowl them cattle up there, and I'd make a 10, 15-mile circle a lot of times, and if I was going anywhere close to Demetrio sheep camp, well, I'd stop in there and I'd eat with him. And he'd always have me fresh tortillas or some cheese. Or he loved them sandwich cookies, them cheap ones. Harmel just brought him loads of them, and that's about all he ate. And we got to be good friends. We had a lot of good conversations, even though he didn't speak no English and I didn't speak no Spanish. We'd talk for an hour or two sometimes, and probably had more meaningful conversations than 90% of the youth now do with their face stuck in their phones. But anyway, we got to be pretty close, and we talked about lots of stuff. He told me about his family, and he owned stuff down in Mexico, and a lot of this was sign language like the old Plains tribe used to do, I guess, because like I said, there was a language barrier, but it just works. It just works when you're one-on-one out in the middle of nowhere. And I stopped in there as much as I could, and summer went on, and the last camp that Demetrio was on was over at a set of old broke down pens called Oxbow Pens. And it was over by a place called Circle Ridge. Little park out there, creek run by it. Beautiful, beautiful place. And Demetrio's camp was there, and summer's coming to an end. They had to get all the livestock on the mountain off the mountain before the snow set in. So they moved these sheep down to Baggs, down to the headquarters there, which is about 25 miles. And it'd take them 3 or 4, 5 days, depending on how fast sheep walked, I guess. And Demetrio hadn't been down there at Baggs just a day or two, and he hit Stan up for more money, because during one of our conversations, he found I was making like $750 a month, which that was with taxes taken out and everything else, And Demetrio was getting paid $100 bills, but he didn't understand all that. So he got mad and left, went back to old Mexico. Well, them two collie dogs were still there, and don't remember their names. Hell, it wasn't 2 or 3 days we got to noticing one of them collie dogs was gone. We didn't think much about it. That's the way things are out in the West. Things just happen, And pretty soon we went back up, had a crew, and we gathered that mountain country and had to come off the mountain with them, bring all the cattle down to Bag. It took us a couple of weeks, and After we got all we could get that away, we had to go back up there and go to prowling for remnants and catch them, load them, get them off that mountain, or they wouldn't survive the winter. So it was 3 weeks to a month after Demetrio had left. We'd back up there by Oxbow pens, and I think we'd caught a bull or something. And still remember, we kind of topped out, and down there, hell, it was a couple 100 yards to them pens, and there that old dog was. He had went 25 miles back up in them mountains looking for Demetrio, and he was laying under one of them old boards there in that set of pens, and there wasn't nothing we could do. Them old dogs were kind of wild, and he wouldn't have come to nobody but Demetrio, and I guess that's where he lived out his last days there, hunting that old feller. Kind of sad. I'll see y'all next week. Keep snapping.